One, two, three, four. All right, my fellow agents, it is I, X7, not just your master of musical mayhem, but your, well, I'm generally an expert on all things Spider-Man up until say 1995, maybe 2000. We'll go with that. And today is Wednesday. That does mean it is a book review, and we are going to be reviewing a book about Spider-Man. In fact, it's going to be this book. Now, this came from the web, but I do own it, and we will see that momentarily once I get rid of the guitar. So, are you ready? Let's spin. For it being 100 degrees today, it's kind of dark in here. Be that as it may, here's the book. This is the book we're going to be looking at, and I got it a couple of years ago. The gentleman in question, Jay, what is his name? Through in the back. Jay Baldwin has a couple more out. The Gantry Lawrence superheroes, the Marvel superheroes, one on Iron Man and one on Thor so far. It's really, it's 180 pages. Yeah, 180 pages. 182 pages, mind you. Yeah. We'll see we won't see all of them because I want you to, if you want it, buy the book. It's a little pricey, but it's well worth it if you love the show. And this is just the first season per se, not anything more than that, like the weirdo ones from the second two seasons, even though he says, well, anyway, it's a good show. It's a good book. I really enjoy it. We'll see why. And I love this show. I always have since I was a small child. There's a reason I learned how to play the Ramones version of the Spider-Man theme song, which you sort of heard a version of just a minute ago. I wonder if I'm still well known by that sobriquet at the Blarney Stone there in San Diego. All right, let's get a little further into it here, shall we? So like most of, excuse me, remember to breathe air, drink water, and eat food. Thank you, Agent Sharon. So, like most book reviews, this will probably go pretty quickly. There's our cover. It has seen a little love here and there. And there's I was going to insert this. So let's just do that right now before we get too much further into it. One more insertion. Because the book is in color. And I'm not going to dare YouTube with the actual theme song as much as I want to, but I thought that would be fun anyway, because that's how it starts out. And that was stripped when it was syndicated, which is where I saw it, of course, on Channel 20, WDCA, the greatest station in the world. And there's the video is great. That's all I can tell you. There's two versions of it, really, and then some live performances. But we get into the opening here. 2019 was when the book was actually published. Let me look here real fast. Yeah, 2019 by Jay Ballman and Total Mojo Productions. Seems like I left out of there. I think it's hilarious. He's got I actually owned that issue of Castle of Frankenstein, and it had nothing in it about 1 million years BC. It just put Raquel Welch on the cover. I don't care much for the magazine. But there you go, right there, Jay Ballman, author. And there's a little more about it. There's the blurb that you'd see in the comic books. And they were on the same station, I think it was ABC. Yeah, ABC, America's Best, and there's a better one. I actually own the comic book, which is just two reprints, a reprint of a Spider-Man story and a Fantastic Four story, and then some originals for I want to say Journey to the Center of the Earth and something else. But there's Pete's. So he goes through the whole setup, but the fun thing is that you get to see not these because you can get screen grabs anywhere now from the DVD set if you're fortunate enough and smart enough to buy them because I believe they're out of print and probably go for something astronomical. But they have the back these uh, pre-production drawings. So I wanted to get some of those in there. I didn't want to get too many. I didn't. We don't have 180 pages of it because I could easily have done it. But again, anyone who's watching this knows Spider-Man, just like me. So there's, but the background here with the notes, and there's some more fun stuff in here like this, and yeah. And I'm not sure if Romita did this. Ray Patterson is who did this one. John Romita provided a lot of the character designs because he was the one drawing Spider-Man at the time. This was post Ditko, even though a lot of the stories came from the Lee Ditko era because they were easily accessible. I mean, although a lot of them they tell you which ones they were in here. Mysterio, there's a weird, and that's just for this season. So with the Lizard, because they would show up later on in very much stock footage. And they talk, it's just as bad. Now, here is some fun stuff. The theme from Spider-Man was written by Paul Francis Webster, and the composer was Bob Harris. And it was written in the key of, what does that say there? C minor, probably. No. I don't remember my sharps and flats as well as I used to, but there it is. They changed a couple of the words here and there, but it's one of the most well-known theme songs of all time. And in your humble agent's opinion, the greatest cartoon theme song of all time, though there are several. The gradation is within, millimeters or 0.002 or something like that with the other great ones. And there is at least the first page of, I didn't put in 6 because we know what it looks like. And then it goes through all the episodes in order, part 1 of 2, and, notes and things. This is what's really cool about it because you don't really find these, you can't find stuff. You can see people talk about them, but actually seeing them, where they've marked out stuff and changed it. So it's really good that way. One of my favorite episodes where crawls the lizard. It is based on Spider-Man 6 or so. But, they've changed a lot of things. They changed a lot because they couldn't really have this was definitely not geared for college students or even high school students. Sure worked on me when I was young, and I still love it to this day. And I'll say it a lot. Now, the lizard, I don't remember if the lizard had his tongue sticking out, but they took shots right out of the comic books. This is way better animated than the Marvel superheroes, the Iron Man, Cap, and Namor, Thor, and Iron Man. I said Iron Man. The Hulk, which I do really enjoy because we did do Captain America. And Electro, and then we go through this Green Goblin stuff. Vulture, this looks like a coloring book, doesn't it? Gene Hazelton. So you don't really get the sense that the Vulture's the old man he was in the original Vulture, the old man that he was in the comic books. There's the Spider Slayer, though they don't call it that here. But and Jameson sounds. He sets the template. The actor that did Jameson set the template in this cartoon for all J. Jonah Jamesons to follow. Doesn't matter when, where, or why. They all sound like him. It's uncanny on occasion. Never step on a scorpion. You should never step on a scorpion. I love the scorpion as a character. I think he's been reformed a time or two, but Gargan is pretty interesting. And I love his suit. I'd hate to see what he was shown in Spider-Man Homecoming, Gargan was. I'd hate to see how they'd overcomplicate it in the MCU. Maybe they'd keep it simple. Give him a stinger. I think that would be a little better than his blunt force trauma tale, but that's just a fun drawing. I thought about it for the cover here, but nope. There's the Sandman, and there's Origin. It's the original story. Oh wait, that is Died of Destruction, where a building comes to life, or I don't know what it was. Some of the original ones aren't that great. The original, because they're just not as creative as Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were, or Steve Ditko and Stan Lee were. Take your pick. Took out a whole page there. So that's the fun stuff about the whole thing. And they said these are memos to Stan Lee. A living, how do you keep a living lightning bolt in jail? You ground everything, right? I guess. The Rhino, I think he later became more of a Hulk foe, but yeah, I think he showed up in Spider-Man with the with his son, and now we have a cameo by a certain black cat who was helping, or thought she was. But there's Dr. Magneto, not Magneto, so maybe that's where I learned how to say Magneto. But that's the Phantom of Fifth Avenue. So these were people that the masked, the non-costumed ones are just not as they're not as menacing. Yes, I like the Trouble though is Miss Trouble. I think that's Spidey's only female villain in the entire run of this cartoon, and I couldn't even tell you his first female villain in the comic book. And now Noah Body is pretty interesting because he's invisible. Can you get it? Noah Body, no body. Mysterio comes across really well. He was just designed to be animated. I mean, yeah, and Spider-Man can turn his web into a sword. I don't know how that works. More Kaida butt there. I included this one because these are two of the enforcers, Ox and Montana. Now, Fancy Dan is nowhere to be seen, but it's an original story, but they did borrow them right from the enforcers. So I didn't realize that till some of these I'd never seen until I got the DVD set. Because in syndication, you never knew what you're going to see. And I need to watch it again. I did, but now I don't. So this is a funny episode because Jameson's involved. And there she is, showing me how she's helping. She's just adorable. More Doc Ock. I would have used him all the time, or a couple of times. But, they would never thought about doing anything more than 10-minute episodes until the second and third seasons when they did half-hour episodes with a lot of stock footage repeated over and over and the same music. So now this Fiddler looks a lot like DC's villain, the Fiddler, except that he's out to stop rock and roll. And now Noah Body lines up these other three to help catch Spider-Man. That doesn't work either. Now this one everyone knows because it's the guy that dresses up as Spider-Man, and they're pointing at each other. And we've seen the pictures of all three Spider-Men. More Scorpion, where he grows giant. This is one I actually remember seeing as a kid. Because how do you forget a giant scorpion? So he's out to get, and true to the comic book, he's out to get Jameson for making him into a freak. Because Jameson paid to do it. Another letter to Stan. So yeah, Stan wanted to write the narration. So and we're done almost. So this was one of his books. I'd like to read this one too because it'd be very interesting about a '64 Comic-Con that they thought 200 people would show up and they got way more than that. There's the Iron Man book. I don't have a picture of the Thor one, but there's the back of the book. And so we're about done here. So we're going to play a little music while I talk under me. I do love that. And there we go. So until I don't have any of his other books, and I plan to get them at some point in time, and we'll do reviews of them. Tomorrow, I have decided what series to review, and it's going to be fun. I'll probably laugh all the way through it, so you'll have to excuse me. Anyway, until our next assignment, my fellow agents, this is X7 signing off and phasing out. And you can buy these books on Amazon. Now I'm phasing out.
I can only get unstuck, I'll be swinging at one of my most fearsome foes next week. How do you fight an enemy who's stronger than you? How do you escape when there's no place to run? Next week, I've only seconds to find the answer before the scorpion finds it for me with his deadly tail. When I first saw it, it was an ordinary paper bag. But I soon learned that things aren't always what they seem. Especially when they can change into any deadly form, like the sinister Sandman, the most dangerous foe this web slinger ever fought.